I suppose it's possible we could find our black swan. It's just, I think like socialism in itself is like too quixotic to consider.
Um, I think that it's mostly that we haven't really gotten the right prerequisites for socialism yet. So, like, with socialism, you need to have at least a democracy with strong social protections for the working class, limits on like corporate power, as well as a relatively strong federal
How,
government that,
how would you transfer the ownership of the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class?
well, I don't actually know, but I do think that like if we take and have it so that you limit the size of corporations, you take and give massive subsidies to like worker cooperatives and other things like that, eventually uh, aristocratic corporative structures will eventually just die out on their own because they won't be as
Let me
effective as
ask you this.
co-op.
Let's say, for example, like right, let's say we have like 100 billionaires right now. I know there's probably more than that, right, in the United States.
There are about 1,100.
That's fine. So let's say that this 100 billionaires increased by like three times. Now it's 300 billionaires. Let's also say that people's lives are better in general. You shouldn't care, right? Do you care? Do you care that there's 300 billionaires?
I would care, like, especially if it was just continuing on the way that we're going right now, because
Well,
if
let me
our
explain, right?
fates are
Like,
direct,
I agree with you. There's problems regarding like inequality of wealth. There are genuine economic issues that occur by doing that or by having more inequality of wealth. So like it does serve us, an interest to like curb that. I agree with you, but it's also true that it's like you can have a lot of rich people, and at the same time, like everybody's like lowest quality of living standard is higher, right?
yes, but at the same time, if everybody's fate is intertwined with the couple hundred billionaires there are, if one of them screws up, that could lead to an entire 1/300th of the uh, economy just going down the drain. Like, you don't want to take and link everybody's fate
Well,
to.
corporations aren't tied to their billionaires; they are tied to their
Yeah,
shareholders. So I don't like
I
a billionaire dying wouldn't cause the corporation to
no, I'm
just
not
suddenly go
saying like
under.
a billionaire dying. I'm
or like
talking like
or
a
like ruining
billionaire.
something. Like they would just
Yeah,
fire. They would just buy off the owner of the company. That's what would happen.
yeah. Yeah, but it would also lead to a massive decrease in the amount of people employed that at that
That's
company.
not
It
true.
would. I mean,
Do you remember Papa John's?
not particularly. I know that there was one here in
The guy
town,
like
but it
came
got
in, he
walled off.
busted out an M bomb, right?
Oh, ouch.
CEO meeting, and they basically like told him to resign. They bought him out. Nobody lost their job. I mean, it was just the Papa John's guy.
And I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, somebody said the N word once. I'm talking
Well,
about
I'm just
like,
giving an example, right?
oh,
Like
this
a
person
CEO,
invested.
the person who
Yeah.
founded the company didn't actually cause like a bunch of people to lose their jobs just because like the CEO fucked up. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying like if the company as in general takes and goes like, oh yeah, we're gonna take and do a bunch of bad business decisions, like say Blockbuster. A lot of people lost their jobs when Blockbuster went
Well,
bust.
yeah,
A lot of
because
people,
they didn't innovate.
yeah.
They never
But
innovated.
if
Like
if there are people who
you
are
think they're
convinced that,
deserving of
oh
billions
hey,
of dollars because they just decided to not change their business model?
yeah, but I don't think that like people should be forced to take and follow somebody's business model because if
What?
a like should a company as a whole that's worth billions of dollars be forced to take and follow one guy who's going like, I don't want to do this, we don't
But
do this,
Blockbuster
or
isn't
should
on the basis of
everybody?
one guy. It's on the basis of the board of
Yeah, it was on the
directors.
basis of the, yeah, which was not run by the whole company.
Yeah,
It
that's
wasn't
fine.
like, oh yeah, I want to just finish here real quick. So Blockbuster was run by its board of directors, which is more or less not a lot of people, all things considered, with how many stores there were.
Well, all
With
stockholders have a proportional vote to the amount of stock that they hold. You're talking about thousands of
which
people.
which most people don't really have a vote on
No,
the
because you don't own the company.
shareholder.
You would have no say in
Yeah,
someone else's money.
yeah, but the board of directors is the main controller.
The board
Whereas
of directors is the
I think,
representative to the shareholders. Yes.
yeah, but like, I think that most times the board of directors has the shareholders in mind, which are not the workers there. If the workers were there and went like, oh, hey, we want to take and go away from streaming and stay in DVD form, I think that that would have justified Blockbuster going under. However, there are a lot of people who I think probably would have gone toward, who would have voted for, oh yeah, let's take and expand the business into voting for digital expansion of Blockbuster, which would have saved Blockbuster. So it's less the, oh yeah, it's more that there's not enough power concentrating in the people whose lives that the corporations actually affect and the billionaires' lives affect.
Well, so just to point out, right? Like, I get that people's like livelihood could get threatened because they're like working at Blockbuster and that's all they have, but it's not like they have like $10 million invested.
Okay,
Right?
so I'm going to take and scratch this out. This is a purely hypothetical example, no relation to anything. Company A and Company B. Company A has $10 billion net worth. It has 1,000 people who have majority control, and it employs 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
There are 10 people on the board of directors.
Okay.
Company B has $10 billion net worth, has 20,000 employees, and each one of them owns a proportional stock, and everybody votes on which thing that the company will do next.
Okay.
Which do you think would be better to work at?
Depends, actually.
Like, they're completely equal in every regard.
It,
They're like,
okay, then no difference.
I think that there is a difference
You
between
said that they're not
corporate
different.
control. Well,
With
money-wise,
the only
and like,
exception being that you own a proportion of the stock, that would be little to no difference.
are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
The people who would own the stock would be significantly more wealthy than the people who didn't.
That is true.
So,
I don't know about significant, but an amount.
well, $10 billion between 20,000 people is pretty wealthy.
Hmm.
Like, it's not a lot, but it's at least a couple thousand.
Yeah. I mean, there's companies that do this, right? There are companies that do very well with worker co-ops, and then there's also companies that are more profitable with private model.
Yeah, but I don't think that that taking and being in a
You don't
traditional
think they should take profit
firm.
into account? Are you about to say that?
No, I was going to say that
Okay.
the workers' power over the firm should be taken into account because, like,
Well, sometimes they
compared
are, sometimes they're not. It just depends on whether or not that it makes money for the company.
yeah, but I don't think that
Oh,
profit margin.
don't land on it. It's a trap. Careful. Careful. I'm showing you the trap. It's right there.
Okay, so
You don't think that
I think that
the what?
I think that productivity and worker power, like power, is more important than productivity, in my opinion.
What?
Because,
What's the point of a business? Why do you make a business?
to create and make things, but I don't
No.
think that,
No.
like to take and
No.
generate wealth, and
To make money, right?
yes, that's what generate wealth does.
Okay.
However,
So
I don't think that
then,
that's what a
uh,
business should be
me saying
built
that
for.
there is a company, some companies that do better under a worker co-op model, such as mining corporations, to private ownership models.
And I don't think that
But you're
like
saying that
it matters.
that metric doesn't matter. But the problem that I'm having with that is
Like
the
it
entire
does
point of a
matter
company is
in
to make money.
yeah, but I don't think that a company should be just profit motivated.
That's
If
what a
everything was
company
profit,
is. That's all a company is.
yeah.
That's the whole reason.
And
You don't like, dude. You
I'm
don't
trying to say
go
that I
and
don't think that we should have traditional companies.
what?
Like I don't want a company that's purely motivated by profit.
That's
Like
what all
uh,
companies are.
so what would you call a company that's not motivated by profit?
They are all motivated by profit,
No,
nonprofits
like this is
included.
like no, I'm saying like this is not a
What
company
is the
that's
point of a
designed
company?
for profit. It's okay.
What is
I'm
the point
trying
of a
to
business?
ask you, what is a company without profit? Like
What?
by your words, like what would it be?
I don't know. A
Like
foundation,
what would a
probably a foundation
okay. Okay, so I'd rather every corporation be phased out and everything
in
become a
favor of a
foundation
foundation.
because
Yeah, foundations only happen because someone made a boatload of money and then decided to make a foundation out of their philanthropy.
okay,
Foundations
well,
can't exist just because
I'm more
you
wanting
can't pay
something
rent
where
out with
everybody
goodwill.
what?
You can't pay rent
You
with
got really
goodwill.
laggy for a second.
You cannot pay rent with goodwill.
I wouldn't I don't want rent to exist.
Yeah, I know.
Like
But
I'm wanting to transition.
do you think that things are finite in the world? Are things finite?
I couldn't hear you.
Are things
Could you
finite?
repeat that? You're lagging out really bad.
Am I lagging? Can everybody else hear me, or is it just them?
Like,
No, I'm fine. I'm looking at my voice channel. It's all green bars.
must be me. Just a second. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It's not my game. It's not my. I doubt it's my game. I play games and stream all the time.
Okay, you're
No
fine
issues.
now.
All right.
Yep, now you're good.
Okay, so
Well,
do you think that
I'm
things
most-
are things finite on this earth?
Yes, definitely. But at the same time, I think that there are ways to take.
So there has to be a mechanism that we use to determine who deserves what, right? Like, because take for example, lobster dinner. Quite nice, right? We like lobster. There's only so
Lobster.
many. What? What's your favorite food?
Love-
Fuck this.
Grilled cheese sandwiches, honestly.
Jesus fuck. Something expensive, please.
Generic steak.
Okay. There's only so many steaks that can be outputted in a year, yes?
Yeah,
So everybody can't have steak every day, right?
yeah. That's
Okay.
why you ration.
So
it.
well, the question is how is that handled? How do you do that? Ration
Okay,
it, I mean.
so you could ration it based on, okay, this person has been working here for X amount of time. He's produced this amount of good. Sure, we can take and give him an extra ration or something. Or this person, or everybody gets
Do you think that there
equal
have been
amount.
countries that have tried this?
I mean, probably, but
What is the
the
incentive
same
to
time-
innovate and make new innovations under your
don't know.
system?
I don't necessarily think that innovation would be 100% necessary. It would be nice.
What?
Like, okay. If there is something that
Oh,
is
you just got
completely
BTFO'd.
sustainable-
I didn't even have to say anything.
Okay, so hear me out this real quick.
Why would you
If
not
there
want to
is-
innovate? That makes
Okay,
people's
I'm not
lives
saying that
better.
I wouldn't want. I wouldn't
You said it's
want
not
to innovate.
necessary, but it is.
Yes, and it's
especially
not.
under a climate change atmosphere. Especially under
Yes.
a climate.
We need innovation,
So
but I'm
what
saying
is
like
the
for a
incentive to do that?
future thing, like when we've got everything that's sustainable, like
What?
everything's okay.
Yeah, but
I'm
there has to be an
talking about
incentive to do that. And I'm telling you the way that we do
okay.
that is through
Let,
money and prices.
can
You're
I?
saying that we're just
Okay.
going to do it
So,
out of people's goodwill. And I'm
okay.
saying,
No,
no,
I'm
that's
not.
not realistic. People aren't interested in goodwill. They
Okay.
want to see that they're getting some benefit out of it. They're not going to sit there and do it for nothing.
Okay. So the benefit is that everybody gets a relatively equal share of everything that they get put in. So it would be putting into the economy, taking out what you
So,
get,
like a labor
blah blah
theory
blah
of
blah blah.
value idea.
Kind of, but more like equalized. Like
All right.
make it
Well,
so that
we've tried
everybody
it in
has
about
the same.
57 different countries, and it failed on all of them. And some of them didn't have anything stopping them, as in like the United States
Okay.
intervening.
Okay. What countries?
What? I mean, do you want me to like
Like the
list them
Soviet
all
Union.
off?
Okay. For one, the Soviet Union. How is that communist?
Never said that they were communist.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay. How did they do what I'm describing?
They transfer the ownership of the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class, and the intent is that
No,
you
they didn't.
basically give people their rations, what they deserve to each
Okay.
from each of their ability to each according to their need.
Okay. So the Soviets specifically didn't transfer the ownership of the means of production to
I
the
know they
people.
didn't. They became a state capitalist system.
Yeah.
It's fine. I understand.
Yeah.
The
So
point is that it's
who else?
attempted, right? The rationing system that you're talking about, all of this was attempted.
Yeah.
The problem was that it
And
lacked innovation. It had giant innovation problems. People had no incentive to create anything.
who was the first people in space?
What?
Who created the first surface-to-air missiles?
I never said that having government programs is bad. But it is
Okay.
true
You're saying
that the
that there's
United States
no
government was working
innovation.
on full cylinders, offering itself an engine, and then so was the private industry offering another set of cylinders. I'm saying that they are both useful, and if you gut one of them, you make it worse.
Yeah. But for one, part of
Also,
the
Russia
reason
fucking
why.
sucked. Literally, look at what grocery
Oh
stores
yeah. I'm
looked
not.
like in the mid 1980s.
I know. I
It was
know. I
fucking
know. They
nightmare.
had fucking famines and all of that shit all the time. I'm not trying
Well,
to
if
take
you're
and say
lucky, you
that
could have salmon.
Soviet
Do you see that old ass
famine,
fucking piece? What? Sorry, what?
famine with an F.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about famine. I'm talking about just what the grocery stores looked like. Do you remember that there was
Yeah, I'm
a
saying that they
political
had.
leader in the USSR that visited a unprompted grocery store that was not on the
Yeah, I'm
itinerary,
pretty sure.
and they walked in there and saw and saying that there was more selection in this grocery store than Gorbachev himself has access to. And they said
Yeah,
if
and
the
that was
people
Gorbachev,
saw
I
this,
believe.
no, it was not Gorbachev. It was like
Oh,
one of his
it was a
defense
different
secretaries
Soviet
or something.
official.
It was somebody like that. But
Ah,
if there was one of those people that was basically saying that, they said if the Russian people knew what the Americans had, there would be a revolution tomorrow.
yeah, but at the same time, I don't want the United anywhere to copy the Soviet
Yeah, so why are
Union.
you arguing for rations?
Okay, so it's less rations and more like, okay, everybody gets the basic food
Do you think that we should
that
use
they
money
need.
to determine what
I
people
think that you
get?
can have kind of a dual system where people get like rations, like, oh yeah, you can have like this amount of rice and beans and
What?
whatever other nutritious
Wait, I'm
stuff
okay
for
with
free.
social. How about this? Why not have food
Yeah.
stamps? Have prices, but have food stamps, right? So that way people don't go hungry.
Well, well, I'm saying like don't even bother with food stamps because that's
What?
expensive.
What?
Like okay, I'm saying
What?
like have some foods just be completely free while others, luxury foods like meats and other things like that, be priced. Everybody gets like
What?
a like
Do you know
okay,
how food
so
stamps work?
uh vaguely. It's been a long ass time since
So SNAP
since I've
benefits
dealt with
is you
food.
basically get a card from the government, right? The government gives you a card. It's
Yeah,
a credit card. And that, well, I'm sorry, it's
yeah,
not a
and
credit card. It is a debit card. It has
the,
literal money on it.
yeah,
And it can only be used to buy certain food items, right? You can't use it, for example, to buy alcohol and cigarettes, right? But you can buy food,
yeah,
right?
I know.
You can even buy steaks with it, right? You can, should
Yeah.
you choose to buy steaks.
And I think that shouldn't be allowed necessarily because I
Well, I
think that
think it should
steak
be
would
up
be
to
a luxury.
individuals to make the choice as to what they want to eat or not eat. Right? The point is that the benefit is there and they can go ahead and do with it as they see fit.
Well, I think that like having X amount of rice or other types of food, like staple food, like either delivered or handed out to you when you get to a grocery store, as well as like using some income that to spend on nicer things like
Don't you
steak or
think that should
whatever
be up to
is
people
a
to decide?
I don't particularly think
Well,
that rice
okay.
or beans should be like
Up to
I think that
people
like
to
people should
decide as to
be
whether or not they want to eat rice and beans all day. Like I'm sitting here arguing a
no,
society
I'm saying like
where people don't have to be subjected to eating rice and beans and the poor can even eat
no
steak. And you're saying no,
no,
they don't deserve that steak.
no,
Fuck
I'm
that
saying
shit.
that the poor
It's too
can
rich for
earn
them.
money. They can no, I'm saying that the poor can take and go like, "Oh yeah, we've saved up some money. We can buy steak today." But always have the option to just pick up the free rice and beans or whatever.
Well,
Like,
rice and beans are available if they want it. They get SNAP
yeah,
benefits.
but
So they can get rice and
if you
beans, but
spend
they
out
can
all of your
also,
money on
should they
steak,
choose, okay, but shouldn't that be their choice?
I don't think
What if
so
they
because I think
skimped the
that
entire
everybody should
month,
be
right? They
allowed.
skimped the entire month, right? Ate nothing but rice and beans, and then like right at the end of the month, they're like, "Oh shit, our SNAP card is about to replenish. We better spend the rest of it before we lose it." And then they buy steak. Why not? Doesn't that sound nice? Why are
I
you
mean, you
subjecting
could
them to
just
like be
they
poor? Like,
what?
why are
I'm
you
saying that the
subjecting them to
fucking
like
rice
live a
and
shitty
beans
life?
should
They
be
have to eat
free.
rice.
Like they wouldn't even
Wait, SNAP
need to
benefits
take and
basically
use.
is free for them.
Yeah, it's basically free, but I'm
Yeah,
saying
so
that
they can eat
everybody,
rice and
regardless
beans.
of SNAP benefits, should have it so that it's free and can afford other stuff without having to worry about having the essentials missing.
What?
Like,
You're talking about food.
like,
This is an essential,
yeah,
right?
okay.
And you're saying that they should eat rice and beans. And I'm saying, well, sometimes they
I'm
want
not.
steak.
Oh, god damn. I feel like you're kind of missing what I'm saying
It's
here.
okay.
Like,
You can clarify. Maybe I'm missing it.
okay. So, I'm saying that staple food items should be free. People should be paid
What? What
money
about people
that
who
can be
farm
used
the
to
staple
buy.
foods? Should they be
Okay,
paid?
dude, you just interrupted me.
Yeah, I'm so
Please.
I'm just pause for a second. I understand that you want to move on with your hypothetical, but I'm already stuck on something. I mean,
Okay.
if you
So,
want to finish, you can.
people.
I'm stuck on something already.
So, in this hypothetical, people are given base things that they need: shelter, food, clothing, for free. They are incentivized to go to work using money that they can use to get better things: a better cell phone, a better meal, a better couch, a better bed, something like that. There are certain things that are provided for free at the grocery store to make sure that nobody goes hungry ever. So they don't need to apply for SNAP benefits. They don't need to take and get like fucking child like child tax not child tax credits, whatever the fuck it is that helps with food.
SNAP
Nothing like
benefits.
that. There are just SNAP benefits. There are just certain things that are always free: fruits, vegetables, stuff like that. You can get a certain amount of them per day. You can get them a week in advance, whatever. However, you can spend some of the income that you get for luxury goods to get more expensive stuff, like a steak that would theoretically be rarer, because honestly, steak should really be way more expensive than it is, because cows are kind of killing the
Don't worry,
planet.
it is
But
very expensive.
I know, but it's not nearly as expensive as it should be.
So can I just
But like,
ask you something? Do you think that like the people who like make the beans and make the rice and make the fruits and vegetables, do you think that they should get paid?
yes,
By what?
other subsidies, like
What?
subsidies
Why
for
not
like
just have prices and SNAP benefits? We already have a subsidy. It's called SNAP benefits. You're saying that it should be free, and I'm literally
because I
giving you
think
the
that
option where it effectively is free, but works within a capitalist system. But because it's not free, technically, in the sense that it doesn't
don't
use like money, it 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 somehow like matters to you. I'm lost.
yes, because I don't really think that
Do you
like
want a society with no money?
capitalism. I want a society with money that can be used to get like luxury items, but not like money as we think of it now.
All right. Well, I consider this to effectively be quixotic, and I like having like real solutions to problems, not fairy tale ones.
How do you know it's a fairy tale? Like,
Because it's nonsense. We've tried this in the past. It kills innovation.
okay, why does innovation matter in this instance? Like,
What?
this
People
is a place
innovate
where,
when they realize that they can make profit on something. This increases output and then increases the amount of things that are available and then decreases prices.
why should things go? Why should things continue to be output forever?
I don't think it's possible
Because there
for
always
things to
have to
continue
be.
to be output forever, but obviously, like having output is better than none.
Okay, so what's the limit for output?
What? That's some weird
What is
commie
the
shit.
limit for the
I'm
output?
looking. That's
Yeah,
some weird commie
yeah,
shit.
but
It
like,
depends on the technology. It depends on how many
yeah,
people.
but
It
like,
depends on like the supply lines. It depends on how big those boats are. One of them crashed into the Baltimore fucking bridge.
I just
It
can't get away
depends.
from that fucking news story.
It
Goddamn.
depends.
But like, okay, so let's say that theoretically the limit of production is like 100 billion people on Earth can be easily fed and whatever,
Yeah, you know what actually
and
takes care of
housed.
that as well? Prices. People actually have less
Why
babies
should there
because
be
it's
prices?
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
well,
like that this is
yeah,
also like
but like,
effectively self-regulating. I do agree though that we should work for like policies for combating climate change. And it's kind
yeah,
of
but
gross
like,
that
once,
there are
like,
the United States decides to not do so much about it. I mean, we're doing a little bit, but I don't think it's enough. But that's a completely different discussion. You, however, don't like the
but,
idea of money. And I'm saying
I
money is
mean,
a
I think
tool.
that having a way, money is a tool, but I think that we can use a different form of that tool to do better,
I
like to live a better
I
life, to
find
have a better
okay.
society.
How about this? We'll change gears. This policy that you're referring to, right? Like pulling yourself away from money. This is reframing all of society, is it not?
Okay,
Is it
yes,
framing all society
it
differently?
would be.
Is it a big change?
It is changing. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
But it would be
All right.
worked towards. First,
If
we would take and
if you
go.
no pause. We're not
Like,
even getting to the point of work towards, right? Let's start off by asking this. Do you think it's a good idea to know for certain that it would work?
okay. Do you think that it's a good idea for our wonderful monarchy to be transitioned to a democracy? I mean, how many of those even worked? I mean, look at ancient Rome. It got
What?
fucking knocked down in like a day.
What are you
Who
talking about?
who cares about?
I'm asking you.
I'm
You
t-
think that we should look at it in terms of like whether or not it would work?
How many
Should we know
democracies
that it
worked
works?
before the United States?
Should we know that
How
it
many
works?
democracies worked? Did democracy work before the
There's
United
instances
States?
where democracy works, and there's instances where it does not. It depends.
And there are some instances of where somewhat socialist policies work.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, worker cooperatives.
in some situations do
So,
work. Yes. But what you're talking about is
so
wanting to
in some
reframe
situations,
all of society, and I'm asking you very
and
simply,
changing
do you
the
think that
form
we
of
should know
government
that it
isn't.
works?
I'm asking you,
Just answer the question. That
does
was a direct question. Stop
preferably
dodging.
you should want it to work.
I'm
Preferably, you
saying
should want it to
I'm
work.
saying do you think you should
However,
check? Do you think you should check that it works before
has there
making the
actually been an
change?
Look, okay? Has there actually been a real attempt at trying it without
You could
somebody taking
probably
it and
try
going
through
like,
computer
okay,
models. There's lots of economic theories that get formed from computer models. My question is, do you think that we should check?
yes, preferably,
All right.
but
Okay.
that doesn't mean that
I
we
agree.
can't
Do you
try.
think that it would be silly to apply a policy prior to checking, considering it affects all of society, namely food production?
Is it the first time we've done it?
What? I'm saying,
Okay.
I'm asking you, do you think that it would be a smart idea to check knowing that it's going to change all of society?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's
However,
smart to not check?
no, I do not think it's smart.
Okay, cool.
However,
Come back
you
to
can
me when
take
you
in.
have that information. When you
Okay,
show me
wait,
an actual
wait,
real study
hold
of
up.
computer models that show by removing money in society
Why should
that
I
we
do a
can get a
computer
better
model?
economic system, I will listen to you. For now, it's quixotic nonsense. Thank you.
Okay, why should I do a computer model?
What? Because you need to show that it works.
What if somebody somewhere else tried to do it? Like,
Yeah, that'd be fucking
for instance,
based. Show me. That would be awesome. That would be amazing.
okay,
You're going to get a fucking Nobel Prize in economics for that one.
first off, I don't really think that economics is really scientific,
What? Yes, it
really.
is.
'Cause,
Have you seen what an
okay,
economics
how?
paper looks like?
Mm,
It's extremely calculated. They use very complex mathematics. It's not as socially as people want to think it is.
okay. So, how exactly can you prove that something doesn't work in economics
You can use
using a
model.
computer model?
Or a real life model. Sometimes the real life model, like obviously a real life model is better, but I mean the real life
Yes,
model.
definitely.
The problem is with economics, and it comes to testing with real life models, is that millions of people could die, and so you have to be very, very careful because it can have like long lasting impacts that affects everybody for decades. And so a lot of the times they'll just use computer models to determine it. They operate under simulated conditions, run the experiment, see what the results are.
Do you have anything against UBI?
I think like if
This is
there's like a technocratic system where it's like nothing but production, and like people just generally don't have to work, UBI would effectively have to be required. But the problem is like in terms of like a level of pragmatism, specifically like being able to fund UBI, it would basically like more than double the size of the government. Like your fucking taxes would just be insane, and taxing the rich is not enough. There's just too many people to like enact like a meaningful UBI.
I mean, even like $600, $700 a month can be life changing.
I'm aware. Don't worry.
Like,
I'm aware. I'm saying that it's not currently feasible.
I'm pretty sure it is because
No.
there are plenty
I've
of
done the
government
math on this.
programs.
It would literally more like even at smaller numbers, more than double the size of the entire government. And
Okay.
already we're operating at a deficit. And we can only operate at a deficit for so long before collapse.
Okay, and what's that deficit collapse at? Like, when does it collapse?
I believe Greece collapsed at 273% debt to GDP ratio, but I think that the United States is likely going to be even higher than that because the United States is effectively the global economy. And so, like, the United States is much less prone to this problem as Greece is, because Greece didn't, it basically operated off of the euro, whereas the United States has its own dollar and the entire world runs off of this dollar. So
Okay.
it would
What's
likely
the
be more resistant, but it probably wouldn't be far off from Greece's collapse.
okay? So what's the deficit to GDP
I
ratio for the
think
United States?
right now it's like over 120% last time I checked, but it could be higher.
I'll check real quick. GDP. 23.32 trillion, and it was deficit.
You just have to look at the debt to GDP ratio of the United States. Debt to GDP ratio, USA.
1.5 trillion.
120. We're sitting at 120%. Right, so we're still
One-
quite a long ways to actually like an actual default. I know we see big, scary number of the trillions of dollars, but we're also taking in a lot of money. We are currently operating at a deficit, but it's really only a matter of time before we actually get some like decent politicians in to actually reduce the debt and hopefully not a pandemic to like exacerbate.
Oh yeah, that pandemic
or
fucked us.
like a sudden
But-
economic collapse as a result of just crappy Bush policies. That too. We should
Yeah.
probably, if we have
So-
less of those, we'll be all right.
So I have a question real quick. If the entire economy, like the entire means of production got like automated, would you have a problem with abolishing capital, like money, and going towards
I mean, there'd
like-
probably be papers about that. Sure, I wouldn't be again. Like if it actually shows like metrics of benefit, yeah, I wouldn't. Why not?
okay. So you don't think that money should exist for money's sake? Like
That's correct.
that's
I look
okay,
at it
good.
because it has a pragmatic reason
And, like,
to existing.
yeah, and I'm not suggesting that we switch straight over into like abolish all money, get rid of it, because
Yeah, I know,
that
you
would
want,
lead
like a
down
slow
the same route.
transitionary process. I get it.
Yeah, like as we're automating more shit, we should take and make it so that people are less and less dependent on money.
Well,
Like,
currently,
I wasn't-
like you can just have like our current, like we could have better social safety nets, like because in the United States it is
Yeah,
abysmal.
definitely.
It's abysmal. It's a fucking nightmare, dude. We got more money going to the military than anything
Well-
else. It's crazy.
I thought that Social Security had more going into it currently.
I think yes, we have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. The current largest expenditure, if I'm not mistaken, was the military. That could actually be different. Hopefully, it is different because that's a very upsetting statistic. I gotta tell you, not a big fan of that stat.
Social Security is our highest thing right now, so that's
Okay, yeah.
much better.
It's probably going
National
to keep
defense is
growing a
still
bit because I know we have the
800.
baby boomer generation. No, Social Security is not going to default. Stop being stupid. Anybody who thinks that. If
Yeah.
you think that right now, pull up the AARP on like the myths of Social Security. If there's anybody that would have to know anything about it, it would definitely be the AARP because the AARP is that's where they make their money. Is the Social Security.
Yeah.
So they have a vested
think-
interest
and I
in
think
making
that
sure that what they're saying is factual.
And I think that everybody who is for getting rid of Social Security should be dropped out of a helicopter from a very large height.
Wait, what? Say again?
Anybody who is for getting rid of Social Security should be dropped out of a helicopter from a very
it's okay.
large
You don't have to
height.
throw. Well, we don't have to Pinochet them. We could just. They just get voted out. It's okay.
Well,
They just get
I
voted
think
out.
the
Relax.
Pinochet method is more
We just-
fun.
Well, I mean, I don't agree with that, but okay. More power to you, Queen.
Yeah, to be clear, I am joking.
Yeah, I figured.
But yeah, I definitely think that like we should be thinking about like, okay, what will we do after automation? And like this is like I don't think that communism can really work without automation in some part because people will
What's that, bro? You
eventually
wanted to
just
throw gays out of